Welcome back, traders. How are we doing? We got our best Bob Ross shirt on. I don't know if you guys can see that, but if you guys are excited for the video, make sure to stay until the end because we have an absolute banger today going over IWM, AMC, Gamestop, and a couple other different theories or topics that I want to talk about today. The first one being President Trump announces Americans will get a $2,000 tariff dividend. So why is that even a talking point, right? The reason I want to bring that up was you look at IWM, you look at where you are on the chart, and IWM is that risk on assets basket, baby. So it is really the gravy or the money for AMC, GameStop, and NEO. Think about kind of like an S&P 500 for your smaller cap stocks. Last time you had these dividends, stimmy checks, as everyone calls them, our stocks went to absolute Pluto. And I lived through this personally. I can give my own insight as I know all of my friends and some of my family even said, let's go straight to the digital casino. And they went into crypto, they went into AMC, they went into GameStop, right? And I mean, that would be an insane thing to happen. Now, what are the odds that this actually goes through? Nobody knows yet. I mean, this has been the headlines of every single news channel and every single page that covers a lot of this monetary policy. But what I think is fascinating is it doesn't just have to come in the stake of a dividend. Now, a dividend is very particular wording by him. Hate him or love him. But I think that even if it doesn't happen in the form of a dividend, even if it happens in terms of taxes or terms of, you know what I'm saying, some kind of tax payout or cut, I think that could be huge for the overall broader market. But that's just one of the many things I wanted to talk about today because, I mean, that just got me so jacked and so excited for the future of the small cap market. Because you can see here on the IWM, you had your falling broadening wedge, bam, spring, and then above that you saw your rally, one of the greatest rallies of all small cap history, right? Spring, and then potentially, right, we have gap to go all the way up to that 320 zone on IWM. So it's going to be fascinating to see, based off of the close you had last week, right, you saw a hammer candle close. And why is that significant? That is significant because you saw a hammer candle close, literal cents above the 50-day EMA. You can see that crazy recovery on IWM, crazy recovery from 236 all the way back up to 241. And then even in overnight trading, we're as far as $243.33. So you're up here right now, which is right underneath the 9-day EMA. So what's going to be fascinating is you see the volume that happened. Clearly the news was in for institutions. Somebody always knows, right? That is just the unfortunate reality. But what you see here is a little bit more fascinating than that, right? You're seeing a reversion in the index the very same way it happened back here. You had your golden cross, you came back down to retest it, made everyone think, oh my God, we just rejected it. Oh my God, we're going all the way down to the 200 at 211. But what you ended up doing in reality was you saw this V-shape, new highs, and then consolidation, almost like NEO was doing, right? Leg higher, leg higher, leg higher. What I would anticipate based off of this close is that you are going to see a very, very green week next week, in my opinion. I think you're going to see the government shut down, unlocked, right? Government reopens, and there's not this overhanging fear and dread in the markets that stop the optimism from the bulls. Now, what's going to be fascinating here is you have the government potentially opening tonight. And so that's why you see on the left hand of my screen, every single thing is roaring green. And I mean roaring green. So we're going to have to see what happens with the vote. They are voting right now as we speak. But if it gets passed, I would anticipate the government to reopen and for this thing to cruise, sailing higher. Because just so you guys know, we referenced this in the last video, but it's important to think about. History doesn't repeat, but it does often rhyme. And when we're talking about government shutdowns, the last government shutdown we had under Trump was the longest in duration. It was a record-breaking, right? And where did that happen? I believe that was 2019. Yeah, it was this. It was this drawdown, which is nasty. I mean, this drawdown was what? Disgusting. 26% on an index. That is disgusting. Filthy. So what you saw was this pop. So again, someone always knows. Or this initial pop, someone always knows. And then I believe when we checked, it was, what was it, January 25th? Somewhere up here. January 25th. It was the retest of this 50-day EMA, which is hilarious that we are in the exact same point, the retest of the 50-day EMA, before you saw government reopen, and then what was the recovery? In a short time frame. So in a short time frame, your index on the Russell 2000 went up 11%. Now, 11% of the Russell is significant because 11% of the Russell could mean potentially 20% on AMC, 30% on GME, right? So I'm going to be fascinated to see. That is my short stock DD on IWM. Let's get into the individual stocks, GME, AMC, that really, it's what we're here for, right? Chewing on a cough drop so I can keep my voice and my vocal cords alive. But let's jump into GameStop. GME, baby. Our girl Jimmy. Our boy Jimmy. Oh, God. Jimmy, don't do it. So GameStop. Fascinating spot. We covered this falling wedge formation that you've been seeming to form. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential taps within. And you're already green. You're green 1.7% overnight trading because everything is green right now. But that's a great sign because right now you are quite literally right below the $22 mark, $21.88, which is a far cry from this $20.95. Now, what is substantial is you are above the golden trend line, which potentially, aka the we're cooked line, which potentially marks your bottom. And that would be an amazing thing for GameStop. If you could mark your bottom here and confirm that this test of the uptrend that has sent you to Pluto every single time, 100% moves every single time. I'm not saying you're going to have a 100% move, right? This is not financial advice. But what I will say is that this thing has solidified itself as one of the greatest uptrends on GameStop's chart, if not the greatest uptrend on GameStop's chart. And to see that you are coming back with full swing momentum in the other direction, out of a falling wedge, back above this uptrend, could lead to enough bullish momentum to get you back above the 9-day EMA, back above this uptrend at 22.90, and potentially into the 50-day EMA test. And that is sitting at 23.59. So that is what we're going to be watching for next week on GameStop. We're watching for this upward swing in trajectory up to 23.60. And what you do once you hit 23.60, for me, is going to determine what it's going to do in the long term. Because if you come back up here, and we'll draw it out, if you come back up here on GameStop, 23.60, yeah, I don't think so. You could totally retest this uptrend. But if you failed that retest, guys, we're cooked. Like, we are actually cooked. It's not just a joke at that point. But what gets me, what I would then reference is every single time you've kind of had these tap, you've had this double test of this line. Tap, tap. So far you have your one tap in, You're now looking for your higher low. Now, you would need to hold this uptrend. If you don't, you're cooked. But I have a strong belief and a strong bias within the community that every single time your sentiment is down here, right? We talk about the fear and greed index. It is undefeated. You cannot beat the fear and greed index, even though from the weekend, and this is a great sign for the stock market, over the weekend, you saw crypto go from extreme fear to just fear. And the stock market's still in extreme fear. So that in between, the stock market still has time to catch up. And I do this a lot while trading stocks. I'll watch crypto over the weekend and I'll say, all right, what stocks can I trade overnight? Because so often with things like Mara, right? Mara is a great example. You're going to see Bitcoin pump, and a lot of these stocks, indexes, etc., have not caught up yet. So you have a great opportunity to catch that upside leverage to catch up with crypto, because crypto is 24/7, although the stock market is not. So always fascinating to see. So what we're waiting for is the stock market to come back into full swing and to catch up to crypto, right? We're looking for that relief bounce. And hopefully, that leads to a bounce for AMC. Because AMC came to 1 cent, 1 single penny away from their all-time low, which is insane. That is absurd, because they are in a much better spot than they were previously to be in this situation. But nevertheless, right, AMC trading within this falling wedge for the past 6 months. You broke beneath that, and you came 1 penny away from your all-time low. Now, it looks like doom and gloom. Absolutely, it does. But one thing that I covered last video, and something that I just want to reiterate, is we're going into a bullish market sentiment this week, in my opinion, with the government reopening. And you have, for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out. You can see this double bottom was a higher low in the RSI 3 times. You had a higher low into a higher low into higher low. A lower low into a higher low into lower low. Let me reiterate, lower low into a higher low into a lower low. Meanwhile, the RSI made a higher low, right? Now let's look at this bottom, because this is what really, the Bollinger Bands and this really got me excited about AMC once again. And you can see here, I really believe in this double bottom accumulation pattern, especially with everything that's going on. But you look at this bottom, guys, you see this double bottom formation. But what did you see? You saw an all-time low, followed by a higher low, followed by another potential lower low shakeout. Now, it's going to be pretty telling here to see, but the fact that the RSI is not lower than it was here or here is, to me, spelling out almost the exact same playbook as what happened before. So a lower low, higher low, lower low, higher high, higher low, higher low. Sorry, higher low, higher low, higher low. Same thing here, guys. Exact same thing here. So even if you go back and you make an all-time low on AMC, it's going to look terrible. It's just, there's no beating around the bush. It's going to look terrible. But what is exciting, in my opinion, is this weekly RSI divergence. It's strong, guys. Strong, bullish divergence on the RSI weekly. You saw a low, higher low, and potentially another higher low on the RSI. So that's 1, 2, potentially 3 touches. 3 touches of bullish divergence in the weekly time frame. Mind you, that is what happened before you saw your all-time January squeeze in AMC. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen. Get it through the skull, right? I'm not saying that it's going to happen. But it is very possible. It is very, very possible that people are accumulating down here. This is a sign, and that you're going to see a move up. And if that happens, I'm going to say, told you so, but I'm also going to be watching for this break of the 50-day EMA on the daily the daily EMA, because that is what we've been preaching this entire time on AMC, is that once you break this 50, it's sending you into the 200. You break the 200, guys, and it's see you later. It's sayonara, right? That is what's going to give you the rocket fuel, the propellant, right, to get up into this kind of run. If that happens and you retest, that was the exact catalyst, right? You saw a squeeze, retest of this golden cross, which is the 50 slicing through the 200, which signals short-term bullish momentum, guys. Well, long-term bullish momentum, actually, sorry. You saw a retest of that right here where my cursor is. Retest and then send, right, into all-time highs. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to make an all-time high. However, it almost feels like the exact same playbook is being ran back, which is fascinating to me. Holy Toledo, help me get up here. Come on. Oh my goodness. Weeble, why would you do this? What are we even doing? Get me out of here. There we go. Holy cow, that was crazy. But in other words, AMC up 1.66%, guys, overnight trading. It is already a good sign that you're going to see some kind of relief bounce here from IWM, from GME, from Gamestop, AMC, right? That you see this V-shaped recovery. And if you get inside the falling wedge, guys, if this was a shakeout and you don't make that lower low, the shorts are screwed. They're cooked. So in other words, AMC go lower, AMC's okay. AMC go higher, AMC's okay. Just take a chill pill, guys. When in doubt, zoom out and look at the macro chart. You're going to be okay. You go to the quarterly time frame. And this is what I was banking on, this kind of move happening in our macro thesis. Our macro thesis was, and still is, that you're going to see this macro quarterly MACD cross for the first time since 2021. Now, what could be the catalyst of this? We don't know yet. But there's a lot of fishy smelling things that are making this market, this bull market euphoric period, a lot more similar to 2021 than it was back here, right? Dividends, freaking stimmy checks, right? I mean, IWM going to an all-time high. What's another one? Where you are in the chart. I guess that's the most obvious one, right? The last time you were this close to crossing, you saw a 400% move. Now, we're literally just waiting for that move unless you capitulate here. If you capitulate, which is entirely possible, theoretically, the break and the held break of this falling wedge, initial move down, takes you to around 176. I believe that was like the exact same penny low that you had pre-split, which is kind of funny. Or you're going to come all the way back down, and this would suck probably the most, to this falling wedge support line that sits at this 130 to 110 zone, somewhere in this support. So that is your outlook on AMC. I think you're overall still going to go up. I think the market's going to be bullish next week. I think bears are going to get cooked because of the fear and greed index. Crypto is swinging back green, and the stock market has to catch up. So fascinating stuff there. IWM, we're still waiting for that further extension outside of this 252 level. That's your level to beat for next week, 252. And then, let's see, Gamestop. What's your level on Gamestop to beat? It's my favorite thing on NEO because NEO respects the price level so accurately. I think you get above $22 and then you're back into the races, right? Get above 22 next week. And in my opinion, you're coming back to 23.60. Anything else we want to cover, guys? Do you guys want anything else? Q&A? What else can we do? Lesson videos. I mean, your MACD doesn't look great. So I'd say like that's the one thing. I'd really like to see this MACD turn around. What's IWM's MACD? I'd really like to see IWM not turn down there. That would be not good. AMC, of course it's not going to look great on AMC though, because they just almost made an all-time low. Monthly still green. Man, Neil looks so good. All right. I think that's all I have for the market video today, guys. I'm going to be back tomorrow, and then I will be off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Potentially back Thursday night because I have a business trip. So I could definitely do live streams overnight, guys. Do live streams and do Q&As. It'll be off my phone, but I'll try to be here for you guys throughout the market volatility next week. I think green next week. That is my call because I'm bullish. But God bless each and every single one of you guys. Thank you for staying to the last point in the video. If you guys found value, subscribe to the channel and share it with a friend. God bless each and every single one of you guys. And peace. Let's have a great week. Woo!